So anyway, I did call 211-811. They did call me back. It was probably just at 3 hours, whatever. The lady was very competent. I believe she was probably a doctor and not a nurse, not just a nurse. But she came up with this, you should go to the emergency room. I thought about that myself, and wow, it's just genius. I was really hoping that she would give me, gee, you're in pain, so no pain, no gain, but if you weren't in pain, your body would heal better, so, take a Tylenol, something at all. No, no, she said go to the emergency room. So I'm like, okay, all right. Now, Susan was on the other phone, listening as it was on speakerphone. Susan berated me because I gave too much information to the lady who asked me many questions or whatever. But duh. Anyway, so just then I said goodnight to Susan anyway and hung up on her. Anyway, I went to the emergency room 2 or 3 years ago because my arm was not moving. My left arm I could not motivate or had no skill that I could not move my left arm forward. But I could hold it up like a Y or the YMCA, but I couldn't move my left arm forward. Not in that position. I could move it around. Lots of things I could do, but I thought for some reason that I'd go to the emergency room and get an x-ray of my neck. See if, there was a real problem there that I could, have something to work with so that I could, work on whatever it was I was working on, as well as have my mental health stressed out, of course, because that's what happens. I did go to the emergency room for that. It was just stupid. That was just like a waste of money. $45 later, they gave me a CAT scan, not an x-ray. I mean, I was jonesing. Oh, God, was I jonesing. Okay, so I needed radiation. Of course, that's a far cry better than heroin. I've never done heroin, and really wouldn't, but whatever. Beer is okay for me anyway, so I sat in the emergency room for 17 hours. There was a moment of glistening shock. A man comes in with half a hand because of an industrial accident, and I'm like, fucking, I'm in shock. I can't fucking shut up. And he finally said, shut up and get away from me. And I'm like, there's a good idea. All right, yeah. Starting to make sense. Whatever. So clearly, that must be what it is. 17 hours later, they gave me a CAT scan of my brain and said, oh, you have Parkinson's. The CAT scan was for the stroke that I wasn't having. And I told them I wasn't having a stroke. And I wasn't having a stroke. And they were really interested in only the test that I'm qualified to have because I'm 50, 60 years old or whatever. Obviously, there weren't 17 hours of that shit. And the doctor didn't listen to a word I said. Wasn't interested in my broken neck and CAT scan of my brain or whatever. I have Parkinson's, he said, but I don't. But I do because he's, as far as the law goes, he's a doctor. He wrote down or didn't write down that I have fine, whatever. But I don't. Clearly, it was the Parkinsonian-like symptoms from the haloperidol that made me shake so much. That's good news, right? That's pretty good news. For me, personally, because I would get very disturbed. Might as well just throw in disturbed, psychotic, whatever. I would get very disturbed because I would be talking or communicating with somebody and then I would start to shake and all their attention would go to my shaking and, like not wanting me to shake and nobody would listen to a word I had to say anyway, so what the hell. 17 hours of that, then you bet I got myself home. I thought, okay, so you still can't move your arm, but if you lie in bed and heal or something, and it works, and my arm can move, and it's good, and shouldn't go to the emergency room, because that's a pile of crap. Not for an x-ray, Dr. Asarani, I'm sorry, but my neck was broken in 96, so I need an x-ray. He'd be like, well, you're 60 years old, you qualify for a colonoscopy and a mammogram, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Ass. Arani, whatever, fine. He wants to network with specialists or whatever his purpose in life is, whatever. So I did go back to the emergency room for something very similar, which was in my lower intestine. At that time, it was, I would sit and then it would be like a spasm. Suddenly, all my muscles would spasm in great pain. And I would move to breathe or whatever, but that I was having difficulty breathing was noticed by Seth, who refused to just let me rest and heal, and I went to the emergency room because she made me, so I would pay money or whatever. Keep that economy going. And they did nothing. 5 hours I sat there, and they had said, well, we'll take a blood test. I'm like, all right, well, at least there's a reason why I'm going. They're going to take a blood test. No blood test, no fucking clue. They do whatever they feel like. The best that they can. Oh, yes. Anyway, whatever. Kind of nice not to be Canadian, isn't it? Whatever, just saying. So anyway, if you have real health care, that's when the concrete falls on your hand and you gotta lose 3 out of all your fingers, but you want to keep your pinky and your index finger and lose your wedding band of your left hand, so that the price of this finger is this much and the price of that finger is that much. The whole hand is way out of proportion to what you can afford or gonna gonna pay anyway, but, good old American know-how, yeah. Anyway, it's good. Worked out just swell. Anyway, the pain did go away. It took forever. It was that I had no food and that I could not ambulate and that I could not get around or feed myself or whatever. And this is much better. This is in my upper chest or my chest around my diaphragm, and it's pretty much very similar. It's just not spasming. It hurts when I stand up and I walk around, and it might spasm, which just makes me upset, which, pain relief is nice. The beer seems to be helping very well. Susan, who had spinal meningitis viral, told me that it was just simply a matter of fact that she got pain relievers and her body healed. And so I thought about that, and I thought, well, Demerol would be a really, really fine thing for me. Just one shot or whatever. Vicodin was something I was to have. En masse, I don't understand that. I filled one prescription card in Bubble Pack and had 5 more and didn't fill them and didn't give them to the free clinic as free drugs for the soldiers because I'm an arse. That was a shame. By the time I realized I could do that, it was too late to fill the prescriptions. Now I have a record of scamming for drugs, of course. So I can go to the emergency room and tell them that I'm in pain. I mean, I didn't say I was in pain the first time. I said my arm won't move. But it didn't matter because, it's the same shit anyway. I was just jonesing for drugs or radiation or something, and I'm not going to the emergency. The 811 calls, a nurse or whomever called me and said, go to the emergency room. So I can have no one care at all about me, and then I can have more of a record of how I just want pain medication. Not happening. Not happening at all. I did opportune myself to look up coconut oil overdose and high cholesterol symptoms. Turns out that if I eat lots of fibrous, sugary, sweet fruits, that I should feel better, or I should mentally feel better because, psychosomatic, because my bowels will evacuate better, and that this will clear the cholesterol out of my system. If that's the problem. It could be the problem, I had thought, but the pain will go away. It's just going to be a long, enduring kind of trial of special, because I'm going to be drunk for quite some time. And this is getting very expensive, but I got plenty of money. What the hell? I think spending money is all that. It's lager, not beer, but whatever, okay. So anyway, and Susan decided that I had not done enough for her or myself, or how I was some kind of failure because I won't go to the emergency room. Because she's an ass. This is just the way it is. And then she said that she shouldn't have been privy to the telephone conversation because, of course, She was incapable